I wonder if the Giants thought they were going to get a completely depleted post-trade deadline A's team. Well, Brent Rooker is still there.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about your Oakland A's all year long. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. I'm your host. Please call me Sully. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Hey, follow us at Locked On A's, on Twitter, whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully. It's Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Well, I got to be honest with you. I thought more big names were going to be traded this trade deadline. I thought Scuba was going to be dealt from Detroit, but I guess Detroit still thinks they're in it. I thought that Crochet was going to be traded from the White Sox, but I guess maybe the White Sox were like, well, you know what? We got enough. We got, we could maybe have a decent pitcher coming in next year. And with the A's, I really thought they were going to be very active. I thought they were going to be trading away a lot of veterans. And I thought that Miguel Andujar was going to be dealt. I thought Paul Sears was going to be dealt. And I thought it was going to be kind of a bloodbath. I thought it was going to be like the end of The Godfather. And in the end, we do have to say goodbye to a couple of friends. But one friend we do not have to say goodbye to is Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker is still an Oakland A and will be an Oakland A for the remainder of the season. Now, I have tickets for the final game at the Oakland Coliseum. And you know what? I'm glad that the majority of the players that we've gone to get to know this season pretty well are going to be there. This isn't going to be a great team like the 74 team or the 89 team, but this is a team that a lot of us are going to remember because it's the last one in Oakland. And so do you know what? Butler's going to be on that team. Andujar is going to be on that team. Rooker, Langoliers, Cameron, Bleday, Geloff, Schumann, they're all going to be there. Sears is going to be there. And maybe it'll still be Miller time. Alexander's still going to be there. I thought a picture like Alexander was going to go. But they didn't make a lot of big deals. Now, in the second segment, I'm going to break down the two major deals that were made involving the A's, and we'll see how they turned out. But with that, the A's went to the final time to San Francisco as the Oakland A's. This is the last time the A's are going to visit Oracle Park representing the city of Oakland. And the A's, not decimated for the trade deadline, had the kind of day that you're like, do you know what? They're going to bludgeon the team. Now, who homered today? Daz Cameron homered and put them on the board. Butler homered and the nice drive over to right. Rooker picked up his 26th home run and knocked in his 77th run batted in. I'm still looking run batted in. Bleday hit his 13th home run of the year. And with that, the A's ran up a 5-0 lead and held on to win the game 5-2. Butler went 2 for 5. He had a home run and a single. Langoliers got a single and a double. Rooker homered and walked. Bleday hit a home run, and Geloff got 2 hits and a walk. So Geloff got on base 3 times. So there you go. I mean, they mainly scored through the home run. But do you know what also happened? Sears, who I thought was going to be dealt, pitched great. 7 shutout innings, 3 hits. He only walked 1 batter. He struck out 9 along the way. And this was a bad loss for the San Francisco Giants, because if they wanted to still hanging around the wild card race, you got to win games at home against the teams you're supposed to beat. And with that, the Giants are now 3 games under 500 and 5 games back of the last wild card spot with essentially 2 months to go. Now, can they make up that? Sure, they can. But they have to leapfrog St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Arizona, and either San Diego or the Mets to get that spot. And in order to do that, you got to win games at home. And in order to win games at home, you got to be able to beat teams like the A's, and they didn't. And there you go. Way to go, Giants. You let the A's absolutely clobber you. And there was a certain, I don't know, for the lack of a better word, a certain swagger about how the how the A's played tonight. I mean, Brent Rooker, these are human beings, remember? These are human beings. And you can't help but wonder if going to the ballpark every day, not knowing whether or not you're going to be traded, weighs on you. And yes, we can sit here and say, well, of course Rooker would want to be traded to Philadelphia. Of course Rooker would want to be traded to San Diego or to Baltimore or some other contending club. But you also got to think that it's a pain in the butt to move. It's a pain in the butt to move in mid-season. And maybe he can relax the rest of the way. He's still under control. The A's, if they want to work something out, they can maybe work something out in the offseason. And there is a sense that Rooker probably has some emotional connection with this Oakland A's team. I mean, this is the sort of emotional stuff we're supposed to ignore as we do our fantasy baseball teams and reduce everyone to a number. But the A's gave Rooker a shot, and he became an all-star in Oakland. And so maybe he doesn't want to be a mercenary this year. I don't know the answer. Neither do you. All I know is that he is on the team and hitting home runs for him. I'm going to quote him. This is from MLB.com. He said, "This is where I want to be. I love the guys in this room. I believe when we got on here, I believe this group is moving forward. I'm extremely happy and thrilled to still be here." Now, granted, what's he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, damn it? But no, maybe he does like being part of this group. Maybe he does like playing with this team. And maybe he does want to be there to the end instead of being a mercenary on some team that he's never been on before. I'm sure a lot of players are going to be wanting to do an exodus once they get to Sacramento. But maybe some of them want to see it to the end. And Brent Rooker, we're glad you're here. And as long as you stay here, can I make a suggestion? Keep hitting those home runs. All right, let's hear from our friends over at PrizePicks. You know what PrizePicks is, don't you? PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can turn your money 100 times over. PrizePicks, you just get 4 correct picks, and you can make $10 into $1,000. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. With PrizePicks, it really is that easy. That's PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Hey, what is your hub for sports news, sports takes, sports opinions? can I recommend that you make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed to give you the biggest sports stories out there. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I see we got some people in the live chat. Let's see. Snarf just says it easy. Says, good evening. Good evening, Snarf. I do not know how you identify yourself gender-wise, so I'll just say Snarf, welcome aboard. The A's didn't keep everybody. Paul Blackburn was sent packing to the Mets. The Mets needed some pitching depth. They've had some, Senga is out for the year, and Paul Blackburn is heading out. Snarf, by the way, for those who are keeping score at home, Snarf is a male living in Fresno. By the way, hey, Snarf, let me ask you a question. I've been saying that we can't have the A's sharing a AAA ballpark with Sacramento. And I said there's an extraordinarily easy solution for this. You have the Giants while the A's are playing in Sacramento. The Giants AAA team once again becomes the Fresno Grizzlies. The Fresno Grizzlies, who right now are a single A team for the Colorado Rockies, they move that team to Lancaster, who has no affiliated baseball team right now. And at least while the A's are in the Sacramento, that's the way it works out. What do you think, Snarf? Would you be glad to see a AAA team head back to Fresno? Let me know. Blackburn leaving the A's is a little sad in a way. He made his debut with the 2017 A's. And he's played part of the last 8 seasons in Oakland. And with that, he is one of the last remnants of one of their good playoff teams. Now, Blackburn was a all-star for the 2022 season, but he pitched in for both the 2019 and the 2020 team. The 2020 and the 20 when the A's went to 3 straight playoff appearances, the 2018, 2019, and 2020. Blackburn pitched for all 3 teams. He didn't pitch a lot, but he did pitch. He did suit up and pitch for each one of those 3 teams, including the 2020 team, who won the American League West and won the playoff series against the White Sox. So there you go. Paul Blackburn, who at one point was a first-round pick by the Chicago Cubs, and the A's acquired him. He was acquired he was sent packing from the Cubs to the Mariners in 2016, and then was traded to the A's for Danny Valencia. By the way, here's a little weird trivia thing. Blackburn was traded from the Cubs minor league system to the Mariners minor league system. He never played on major league team with either the Cubs or the Mariners. But one of the players the Cubs got back from on that July 20th trade was Mike Montgomery. Now, I mentioned this on Locked On MLB, which I do every day as well. I mentioned on Locked On MLB that sometimes the obscure trades that take place on and around the trade deadline are the ones who will pop up at the end of the year, and not always the big flashy ones. And this is a perfect example of this. Paul Blackburn and Daniel Vogelbach were sent from the Cubs organization to Seattle. The Cubs got back Jordan Preece, who never made it to the bigs, and Mike Montgomery. Mike Montgomery was acquired by the Cubs at the end of July, and in Game 7 of the World Series, the Cubs had the lead in the bottom of the 10th inning in Cleveland. They had already burnt through all their top relievers, and Mike Montgomery came in to close out the World Series. He got his first professional save in Game 7 of the World Series. So in an obscure trade involving Paul Blackburn and Mike Montgomery, the Cubs got the player who closed out that World Series. Again, you never know what the big trade is going to be and what will actually have an impact come October. The other trade that did make me a little sad was the Royals acquired Lucas Erceg. Lucas Erceg went to Menlo College, right down the street from where I am now. I went to the high school that was connected with Menlo College. I went to the Menlo school, so I have a strong feeling in my heart for anyone who has a connection with Menlo. The A's did pick up 3 minor leaguers from the Kansas City Royals, and we will see how any one of those players turn out. One of the players that they did pick up was Will Klein, who is a relief pitcher with some major league experience, so he'll probably be on the team before you know it. But Lucas Erceg pitched well for the A's as a setup man for Miller, and he's still pretty young. He's 29. He is a lifelong minor leaguer who came up. He pitched 50 games last year, pitched better this year in his 38 games, and is now heading to a playoff race. And he's got 3 saves along the way. So, hey, Erceg, we wish you luck in Kansas City. Blackburn, wish you luck with the New York Mets. And it's sad to say goodbye to people, especially in this strange, fun season. But I have to say, I like that Sears is still there. I like that we still have the bulk of the team, and eventually Miller will come back from his strange little pinky injury. And next thing you know what? You may see the A's continue to play their role of spoiler. All right, let's hear a little bit from our friends over at SupplyHouse. Now, get your supplies from the website that's made for skilled trade. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery everywhere in the United States. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team. Talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the trade program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service at supplyhouse.com. All right, everyone, you want to hear me read some copy that may sound strange coming out of my mouth? Well, let's listen to it. Thanks for making Locked On A's your first listen. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Do you like me, the host of Locked On A's? Then you're going to love the host of Locked On MLB, because that's also me. That's right. I do 2 Locked On podcasts every day. I'm your pal Sully, and I'm there on Locked On MLB to provide daily national expertise with my, as they say, trademark humor. Have I trademarked it? To help you get ready for the Major League Baseball playoffs, which may not affect the Oakland A's here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with me, your pal Sully, who has it covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I don't read that on Locked On MLB. Do you know why? It'd be weird to say, listen to Locked On MLB while you're listening to Locked On MLB. What do we have here in the comments? It's Snarf says, be a good deal. I'm hurt over Blackburn. I was just hoping we just give it our all this last year. Do you know what, Snarf? take a look what Snarf. This is going to be my personal therapy session for you right now. The A's have kept the bulk of the players who make this team kind of sort of fun. All right? They've kept Brent Rooker. They've kept Shea Langoliers. They've kept Miguel Andujar. They've kept JJ Bleday. They've kept Lawrence Butler. They've kept Zach Geloff. They've kept Max Schumann. They've kept Seth Brown. Okay? They've kept, obviously, they still have Miller. Obviously, they still have Sears and Spence and Estes and Hogan Harris. They're all still on the team. And let's not forget, yes, they had a grotesque month of June. Yes, they had a horrific month of May. But right now, they're 15-8 in July. 15-8. They have a chance to beat the Giants in their home park in back-to-back games. And then, starting this weekend, they're facing the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a weird team. The Dodgers sometimes look like they're going to win 108 games. And sometimes they can't get out of their own way. And then what happens? They have 3 games against the White Sox, who are worse than the A's. And then they go to Toronto to face a completely dysfunctional Blue Jays team. And after a series with the Mets, they go to the Giants, and who knows what condition they'll be in. What I'm saying is there's a real possibility that the A's could also have a winning August. And either way, they have one specific goal, 2 really. Upset teams. People are circling the A's on their schedule as if they're a bunch of, tomato cans. Well, they just had a wonderful month of July where they won 15 games. That's true. They did. You can look it up. And let's also take a look at, remember when they finished June, that horrific month, and everything seemed to go wrong? Well, since then, the A's are, say it with me, the best team in the American League. Say it with me, folks. Say it proud. The A's have the best record in the American League for the month of July. So what if they also have a nice month of August and they start upsetting teams? Now, Snarf says this sucks, and I disagree. They could be good. They could play well, and they have played well. Teams are going to take them for granted, and Brent Rooker is going to wind up hitting his 40th home run, and we'll feel pretty good. So give it some thought. Day after tomorrow will be, or I guess tomorrow will be August. And these are the last 2 months of the Oakland A's. So let's have fun. They've kept the fun parts of the team together. Let's enjoy ourselves. And let's see if they can beat the Giants tomorrow. Follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter. Oh, and by the way, I hear you, Sully. Any realistic hopes for a postseason run? Hey, how about this, Snarf? Glad I could talk you off the ledge, but why don't we do this? See if they can pass the Angels first. You got to walk before you run. Follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Going over the post-trade deadline that was not as bad as I had hoped or bad as I was expecting, and giving Snarf a little boost of confidence. This has been Locked On A's. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. I'm Snarf's therapist, and you can call me Sully.